In the heart of Paris, nestled along the Seine, stood Château de Lumière, a grand estate that had been the backdrop for countless tales of love and intrigue. Its ballroom, with its crystal chandeliers and gilded mirrors, was the stuff of legends. But for Claire Dubois, the young mistress of the estate, the ballroom was more than just a place of beauty. It was a stage where secrets were danced into the shadows, and love was a waltz of deception. Claire Dubois was the epitome of Parisian elegance. With her chestnut hair and sapphire eyes, she was the envy of every socialite in the city. Her husband, Julien, was a renowned art dealer, a man who had built his empire on the allure of beauty and mystery. Together, they were the golden couple of Paris, their lives a whirlwind of glamorous parties, art exhibitions, and exclusive soirees. But beneath the surface of their perfect life, cracks were beginning to show. Julien was rarely home, his days consumed by business meetings and international trips. When he was home, he was distant, his mind always elsewhere. Claire tried to fill the void with her own pursuits, but the emptiness in her heart only grew. One evening, as she wandered the halls of Château de Lumière, she found herself drawn to the ballroom. The room was bathed in the soft glow of the moonlight, the crystal chandeliers casting a dreamy light over the polished floor. But as she stepped inside, she noticed something unusual. A pair of earrings lay on the grand piano, their diamonds glinting in the moonlight. Claire picked them up, her heart skipping a beat. They were not hers. A flicker of doubt crept into her mind, a tiny crack in the foundation of her perfect life. Days turned into weeks, and Claire's suspicions grew. She began to notice small things: a missed call on Julien's phone, a receipt for a hotel room in Venice, a lingering scent of perfume on his collar. One night, as they sat at the dinner table, she decided to confront him. "Julien," she said, her voice steady but cold, "is there something you're not telling me?" He looked up from his plate, his expression unreadable. "What are you talking about?" "I found these earrings in the ballroom," she said, holding them up. "They're not mine." Julien's face darkened. "They must belong to one of the guests," he said. "You know how these parties are." But Claire wasn't convinced. The way he had spoken, the urgency in his voice, it didn't sound like a simple explanation. That night, as she lay in bed, she couldn't shake the feeling that something was wrong. The ballroom, once her sanctuary, now felt like a place of secrets, a beautiful moonlit prison where the truth was just out of reach. Claire's suspicions led her to hire a private investigator. She needed answers, no matter the cost. A week later, the investigator delivered his report. Claire sat in her study, her hands trembling as she opened the envelope. The photos inside made her blood run cold. There was Julien, standing outside a luxury hotel in Venice, and there beside him was a woman, a beautiful, younger woman with long blonde hair and a radiant smile. Claire's heart shattered as she read the investigator's notes. The woman's name was Eloise, and she was Julien's mistress. They had been seeing each other for over a year, and Julien had even bought her an apartment in the city. The ballroom, once a symbol of their love, now felt like a cruel joke. A beautiful, moonlit prison where Claire was trapped, while Julien lived a double life. Claire waited until Julien returned home from his latest trip. She sat in the ballroom, the photos spread out on the grand piano, her heart pounding in her chest. When Julien walked in, he froze at the sight of the photos. "Claire," he said, his voice trembling, "I can explain." "Don't!" she interrupted, her eyes blazing with anger. "Just tell me the truth." For a moment, there was silence. Then, Julien sighed and sat down, his shoulders slumped in defeat. "Eloise is someone I met at an art exhibition. It started as a friendship, but it turned into something more. I never meant to hurt you." Claire felt like the ground had been ripped out from under her. The ballroom, once her sanctuary, now felt like a prison, a beautiful, moonlit prison where her heartbreak was on display for the world to see. Claire stood at the edge of the ballroom, the moonlight streaming through the windows, casting a soft glow over the polished floor. The wind tugged at her hair, the scent of the night air filling her lungs. She felt numb, her mind a whirlwind of emotions. Julian had begged for forgiveness, had promised to end things with Eloise, but Claire wasn't sure if she could trust him again. The ballroom, once a symbol of their love, now felt like a barrier, a reminder of how easily secrets could hide in plain sight. As the stars twinkled above, Claire made a decision. She would stay, for now. But the cracks in their marriage were too deep to ignore, and she knew that one day the ballroom would shatter completely. And when it did, she would be ready. Love, like a waltz, is both beautiful and fragile. It can sweep you off your feet, but it can also leave you spinning out of control. Claire and Julian's story is a reminder that even the most perfect ballrooms can hide the deepest secrets. What would you do if your love was a midnight ballroom? Would you stay, or would you walk away? This is the Midnight Ballroom. But the ending is still unwritten.
Like, follow, subscribe. Check out our channel for more stories.